On the other hand, it does go beyond what is just the discussion of puberty. It's outside of that just a little bit. And I fully understand how it would be appropriate to take that out of the package.
Karen?
Okay. So as the only female on the committee now, I find this very interesting because, you know, this is complicated. I got lots of emails from mothers. I've got nothing from men, period, about, you know, whether they want their sons to see this. Although I'm grateful that many of our committee members actually do have children who've been through the system and see this. I'm 1 year away from getting a doctorate in maternal and child health and development. And I respect looking at the American Academy of Pediatrics and looking at those resources. And the big thing that strikes me is that this is such an outdated program. I graduated from high school in 1996. I'm 31 years old. This is ridiculous. I mean, like, there's so many like better options out there that, you know, if we're talking about a film that has a couple of things that are really, to me, blips on the radar, I don't think this has almost any benefit to telling a kid, you know, about sexual activity, about what these changes mean to them. And I know the Sunburst Company, though, a lot of the products that we make are well respected and part of the evidence base and are used in many schools. But they are outdated, and they certainly don't talk about communications. Kids in the middle school are doing things like sexting on their, you know, cell phones. These are behaviors that are happening. We've seen, you know, rises in lots of different types of diseases in younger population that are due to sexual activity. But I don't think the answer is, you know, a video. The answer is having a more holistic approach to how we do sexual ed. And I don't think that a discussion where we can reconsider this curriculum is out of place. So I can see the objections, and I actually think there is a reason to reconsider what's being shown, particularly because I don't think this has any benefit whatsoever, based on what I've seen and what I've heard. Now, I've not seen the video. I'm going to do that this week, and I'm going to actually bring in some alternatives, because I think there are better videos that can be shown, but I also think that we can do this with a component of teaching and counseling that comes with the parents, because clearly this is parental responsibility, plus the schools. We can provide the framework, but the family has to provide that context and then continue the dialogue. If that doesn't happen, it matters not whether the kid sees it or not. They're still going to get misinformation, and they're still going to apply that misinformation because their peers will pressure them to say, you know what, if you don't agree with me, then something's wrong with you. What the video said, you know, I mean, that's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So my sense is that editing this video isn't going to matter a whole lot. But I think we can improve our overall approach. And I think that requires us to have a longer discussion. I think it needs to involve men and women, parents, and we need to talk to the kids and find out whether or not this video affected them, the ones who previously took it. And yeah, the 4-year gap really bothers me. I'm just like, you know, that makes no sense to me, why we would have a 4-year gap. There has to be a reason why it wasn't shown for 4 years, and I don't even know if we've answered that question. But that needs to be answered somewhere.
I think there was nobody, there were doctors that administered it,
So they
who
were
left the
gone.
system.
Didn't have somebody present.
Right,
Yeah,
and the
they
nurses.
They moved out of town.
They
Right.
moved out of town.
And
So
so
that,
it just dropped.
so, you know, in that sense, it looks like it has almost no value. You know, if it was that important, someone would have taken it up, and it wasn't.
I'm sorry, we were told that parents complain and that's why the thing stopped.
I've never heard
I've
of
never
it.
heard, I don't, that's,
This is the first
We-
time I've
yeah.
heard of it.
Told at
And Monday's presentation.
Well-
okay, it never got to the school committee level.
Well,
But-
that's the thing, I would
Karen,
like to know.
I want
Oh,
Bill-
I'm sorry, I
Mr.
didn't see.
Lateef, this
No,
side.
I would just say that I agree with you that it seems lame to do a one-shot deal, but ideally, we don't have the money for comprehensive K through 5 health program. That's what needs to be done. So we don't teach something out of context, but rather it's something that builds from year to year, like a Project Charlie or some other type of program. So I agree with you, but
That's the big issue. Karen's absolutely right. We don't have the funds in this district. There should be a comprehensive health program that starts in kindergarten, that goes up through senior year in high school. I think now we offer a health program for 7th and 8th graders and freshmen and sophomores, somewhere around that level, and we try to touch on it in other grades, which isn't the right way to go about it, but we don't have the funds for a full-blown program. I just want to throw my concerns out there, and not saying whether I think the video should be shown or not shown at this time. I'm concerned that the girls' video was edited and the boys' wasn't, and we have no idea what was edited out of the girls' video. That concerns me
Excuse me.
up front.
I have the original video.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, and the original video would show you what was edited out of
Okay.
the girls' video.
Okay.
What was? Do you know what was edited out? We don't know.
There is a segment in the girls' video which parallels the boys' the statement on masturbation, and they took that out of the girls' video back in '96
So that to me
or
makes
7.
no
Okay,
sense.
that's just really out.
That makes no sense.
What?
Either they both have it or they both don't have it. So that's
Yeah,
my
okay.
one issue. Two is the framework, and I'll say up front, I haven't seen the video, so I'm not gonna comment on whether it's proper or appropriate or not. The framework from the state doesn't say anything about a video. So it can be a teacher, a male, female, a doctor, a nurse talking to the kids. It doesn't say anything about a video, so we don't have to have a video. I'm not saying we shouldn't, I'm just saying what the framework says. I agree with one of the parents who stated that I think it should be a male handling the presentation to the boys. Personally, I think that makes a lot of sense. Not that a woman can't do it, but I think there's a comfort factor there. That's just my opinion. And again, I think this is another reason, just another issue that shows we need a full-blown health program, and we need to start trying to find ways to do that if we don't have the funding to do it. So those are just my concerns. I'm going to address, see if anybody else on the board has comments. I'll entertain a couple more comments from parents, and then basically we will take this under advisement. We're not going to make a decision tonight saying that it should be shown or should not be shown. In fact, that's up to the administration. I think the only thing we could do is vote tonight no, and I don't feel we're in a position to do that at this time unless one of the other board members does. But if anybody else on the board has any more comments, I'll entertain it now. Anybody?
I heard from a lot of parents on the girls' side where they weren't very happy with the, oh, I can get pregnant now comment. I haven't seen the video myself. And that kind of bothers me a little bit because, as a parent said, that you're getting a lot of that on TV now, and now we're kind of bringing that into the classroom, where if they said, oh, you can get pregnant, but you really shouldn't get pregnant when you're in 6th grade, would have been a better approach.
It says that.
It does, but not right away, is
Right.
from one of the
No,
parents had said.
I got that as a clear message. I got that as a clear message.
And I'm concerned what Karen said, it's shocking that there's been a 4-year gap. I don't wanna see a 5-year gap. I don't want my daughter to be in that gap while we figure out if it's a doctor or a nurse or a video or a piece of paper that goes home. This is something I graduated in 1984 and I got this in 5th grade. I mean, this can be done, it can be done this year. And I just feel my daughter would be gypped if she goes to, she'll be one of those 6th graders who doesn't, didn't get to see a health video.
Well, as I said, this is a policy, this is a program that's been approved by the school committee. So if we now have the personnel in place to show it, it can be shown unless the school committee reverts back and says we can't show it anymore. So I'm not looking for a motion for that tonight. I think we ought to review this program. Parents do have the opt-out option, and I know that's not a comfortable option. I know there can be a stigmatizing issue to that. So I know that can be an issue, but parents do have that option, so.
I mean, again, and people may not want to hear this, my wife actually told me I shouldn't say anything tonight about this. But I think it's much ado about nothing, I really do. And I haven't seen the video, and you know what? I think the school committee is crossing a boundary a little bit here as far as us having professional administrators from the top down, right through the principals, that have to make up this curriculum and have to put together curriculum to satisfy the frameworks. And for us to be saying, well, we'll come up with something, and I don't think it's our job to come up with something. I think it's the administrator's job to come up with something, and for us to approve it or disapprove it. And right now, this has been the approved curriculum. And I think it's nitpicking. I think it's nitpicking to say that one parent says, well, I don't like the fact that something's been edited out of the girls. And another parent to say, well, I don't like the word that now I can become pregnant. Another one that they don't like the reference to the masturbation. I think that it's up to the the administrators to come up with a curriculum that they feel is appropriate, that's approved by the school committee, and is there for all the children to be shown the same to all of the children in the 5th grade. So that's my position on it.
Can I follow up with
Sure.
just a quick
Karen?
about that?
I'll get to you after.
I still think that there are, because this is an old program, and it is an old program, I mean, it's still used, but there have to be alternatives. And there are some alternatives that I think we should research and at least make available, because they're probably, I mean, I'm sure that some of the parents here would show, give a YouTube video to their kids and say, go watch this in a room, I won't even be present. You can watch, and then you can talk to me afterwards. I mean, there have to be some alternatives, and I think we should research it, because there was this gap. None of us were present when this was approved. I'm sure there was good reason, and it is accepted practice. But maybe we can do better. In North Reading, that's what we do. We try to find the best possible solution,
But-
even without the budgetary issue looming.
No, but I think
You
Jerry's
and I
point
are
is.
defining "we" differently. "We"
Okay.
to me
Is the
means the administration.
Right.
"We" to me does not mean the school committee is
No,
gonna
of
go
course
out and
not.
come up and say, oh, here's what I think the
We're
curriculum should be.
But we're hiring new administrators, we have a new superintendent coming on. I think what we need to do is open ourselves to
I-
understand, maybe
I
putting
don't-
something better in
I
there.
don't object to that, but again, I think we have to be very careful here as to what.
Understood.
Mike, I'll get you a second, because I want to we'll have a few last parent comments, and then Michael, and then, go ahead.
If I could, my name is Sandy Flucci. I have 3 boys. My oldest is an 8th grader that never saw this. He's no worse for the wear for it because he was educated by his parents. That's where sexuality should come from. My 5th grader, I don't think he needs to know what masturbation is until we're ready to tell him. And I certainly hope my preschooler never sees this video. But my point is, until you can answer why the girls was edited out, how can you show the boys?
Well, I do have a real problem with that.
Yeah.
But I can't, this is an approved part of the curriculum that just stopped for
But I
4
think we
years.
need that answer. Why was theirs edited out and the
Yes.
boys wasn't?
Well, I think Mr. Bauer seen the video, and he just told us his opinion. And I would really like, before we say yes or no, or let's move on with it, or not move on with it, that the rest of the board will see it first.
Well, let me tell you why I
And-
don't think, I'm not an expert.
Neither am I don't have to see it, I'm not an expert either.
I'm a public relations professional and a marketing, I know nothing, other than talking to my own kids,
But
I know
you're a
nothing
parent.
about
But
this.
you're a parent.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm qualified to, that's why we have professionals in the district.
Right, and I totally agree with you. Why do we need a tape? A long time ago, nobody needed a tape. A teacher stood in the front, and
I got a
a
tape.
nurse or a male would talk to the boys, a female would talk to the girls, and if they have questions, I mean, if we are gonna go this far with the tape, where is the sex education, safe sex? It's not there. If we are
That's
gonna
not
go
about
this
sex.
far with this tape, then we have to let them know
That's
about
later-
further.
That's later in the curriculum. And the-
Right.
The bottom line is, we don't have to have a tape or a video, but we have to meet certain requirements, which we haven't been meeting for 4 years, that fall under, right here, we have the Massachusetts Comprehensive Health Curriculum Frameworks, and we haven't been meeting this requirement. We've been meeting it to a certain extent, but we haven't been meeting it to the full extent as required by the state.
And the tape is great. I have no problem with the tape to a certain point. I would like my kid, my son, to watch the tape that's talking about information about puberty, about getting hair, about, developing body organs and stuff. I mean, that is important information, and I like the fact that it's done, kids are talking about it. So the kids can associate with it, that's good. But to reach to that point, that level, my kids are not ready for it. I'm gonna decide for that.
But that's your
As a
perspective.
parent.
That's your perspective. There are 450 parents of 5th graders who may have a different perspective.
But, sir,
And-
I
and
don't
all-
have them teach their kids at home.
No,
about
well, okay, hold
masturbation.
on. We're not gonna get into a debate here. We have to do this. We are required by the Mass Comprehensive Health Curriculum Framework to talk about puberty. Now, whether that goes to masturbation or
So
not
you said you'll
is
have
not
to
for
find
me
out.
to make that decision. I'll see the tape, but I'm not qualified to, in my opinion, I'm not qualified to say whether it's appropriate or not.
But
Um,
the saddest part of these parents that know that we got, at home, is to come and watch the videotape about puberty. Now, in my mind, and most of parents who felt strongly that some parts of this video should be edited, it's about puberty, in my mind, what puberty is.
Mhm.
But most of these parents who didn't come, we were there maybe 30